Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. More fears and an explosion of the coronavirus is sending precious metals up and gold to a 10-day high. Let's explore. This comes to us from ccn.com. It says that gold has rallied on Thursday amid reports that China's coronavirus epidemic is much worse than initially believed. And you hear a lot of different information about this and about the coronavirus, and you can get into conspiratorial theories and the like, but it is something we should take seriously for sure, and I believe that most nations are. But the Chinese, a communist dominated nation, there are some reports that this doctor that discovered it, who is now dead from the coronavirus, is akin to what happened in 2003 with a doctor who reported on the SARS virus. But nonetheless, there's a lot of different things going on. They're saying that some people are saying that from imagery, from that they're detecting higher levels of gases from burning bodies. They're saying lots. They're trying to cover up, what's going on and how much worse it really is. We see the numbers go up every day, it seems, but there's experts out there now who know a lot more about this than I do, which is why I've been relatively silent about the coronavirus, other than how it affects the markets. We can only report on what we know from the news, or what we've been told anyway, but that changes. It can change from day to day, but really the market's reaction to it, whether or not people feel from one day to the next, it's kind of like the trade deal. We didn't know the whole details, but in this case, for different reasons, we don't know exactly how widespread this could be, or how widespread it is. I know Anthony G has been corresponding with me and about this particular issue, but there's so much to it, and the spreading of the disease and the cover-up, so that the communist Chinese don't feel like they have a handle on it. That's what they want you to think, but maybe they don't. But anyways, speaking of misinformation, the very first sentence here: gold peaked at $1,518 an ounce on Thursday and is on track for its highest settlement in 10 days. Well, that's news to me, because that would be a huge dip if it was $1,518. We can see here the markets are showing it's $1,576, and it's been hovering around that for most of the day here. And we can see here it was at its lowest is $1,572 earlier, but it was. So I think that's just a typo, is my guess here in this. Alarmed by the recent spike in the coronavirus infections, investors piled into bullion and other haven assets to mitigate risk. And that is kind of my approach to this. We can go into the minutia of the disease and how it's spreading and what people are covering up and guess this or that. But really, as far as my focus, I'm looking at the reaction to the markets to it, whether positive or negative. And last video I did on this, we saw the prices dip because people felt relatively at ease and thought it was under control. Well, now the story is very different today, and so the markets react accordingly. The price of gold rallied on Thursday after an unexpected surge in reported coronavirus infections curbed appetite for risk. And that unexpected surge is due to a new way to diagnose the disease. While stocks have recovered from an early morning slump, gold continued to hold gains heading into the close. Gold rallies and silver is following. So futures for April gold deliveries rose $10.10 or 0.6% to $15.8170 a troy ounce on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange. The rally more than offset an early week slump in bullion prices after stocks returned to record highs. Silver futures followed a similar trajectory. The March contract quoted by Bloomberg rallied as much as 22 cents, or 1.3% to $17.72 a troy ounce. That's kind of pulling in a little different direction than what we saw with silver maintaining a low, reacting more in line with base metals such as lead, copper, and zinc. And now it's starting to act more like that hedge that we have come to know and love with silver. And so risk appetite was muted Thursday after Chinese authorities reported a massive spike in the coronavirus infections. So as of the reporting of this article here, a total of 14,840 people were diagnosed with the novel disease after Hubei, one of the centers of the epidemic, broadened its methodology for determining infections. At last check, there are more than 60,300 confirmed cases of coronavirus in 30 countries and territories. The White House believes China may be underreporting the number of infections by at least 100,000. And in fact, Anthony G. reports that there's 17 in Taiwan, and I think there's 15 here in the U.S. In a Thursday tweet, Edward Lawrence said the administration also believes China is severely understating the death toll. Administration sources say they believe China is underreporting the number of coronavirus cases by at least 100,000 in China. Also, sources say the administration believes China is severely underreporting that number of deaths from the virus. And that has the markets fearing. Data on consumer prices were a mixed bag on Thursday as investors weighed a sharp drop in energy prices against a brisk pickup in annual inflation. Consumer Price Index, which is supposed to measure the effect of inflation at the marketplace, edged up 0.1% in January, the Labor Department reported Thursday. Analysts were forecasting a monthly gain of 0.2%. The smaller uptick was largely attributed to energy prices, which fell 0.7% at the start of the year. Measured annually, CPI rose 2.5%, which is well above the Federal Reserve 2% target. Keep in mind the Fed relies on the core personal consumption expenditure index to measure underlying inflation. Including volatile goods such as food and energy, core inflation rose 0.2% on month and 2.3% annually, official data showed. Gold usually provides a safe bet for investors in times of rising inflation. Even by the government's own measures, inflation is running higher than interest rates. Gold is likely to continue rising so long as real interest rates are falling. Even in a nominal sense, interest rates have been in a free fall over the past year and a half since September 2018. So there's that. Now, it just goes to show you that the markets are reacting. If there's a quarantining and factories closed down in China and maybe even in other countries, that's going to have a real serious effect on the global economy. Many of these nations are suffering already. The United States, as long as we keep our due diligence and hold on, the worst that will happen here is trade delays with China and maybe even some other nations, which will have an economic impact on us. And if it goes too far, well, the markets will really begin to fear and topple. And that could lead us in due course into a possible recession if this thing gets way out of hand here. But not only that, obviously, we pray for the victims of this terrible virus and hope that the deaths can be minimized, and I hope it's not as bad as some fear, especially what I talked about earlier with the burning of bodies to cover up this particular situation. It is a horrible thing, any kind of disease like that, they don't really know how to control it or to stop it. And before they get a vaccine, hopefully they're working on it soon to minimize the exposure there. Now, speaking of potential cures, well, as sent to me by Stacking Nerd, we have a televangelist. That's right, Jim Baker. Some of you may or may not know who Jim Baker is, but he has a cure for coronavirus, $125 silver solution, essentially a colloidal silver. I'm not going to get into the minutia of all this, but I use that word too much, minutia. but the details of all this. But essentially, Silver Solution is a type of colloidal silver that is his own brand. And colloidal silver, but those of you who know, silver is antibacterial. And yes, it can help with your immune system, and they say you can take it preventively to prevent certain bacterial infections and that type of thing. But what about viruses? I don't think it works on viruses, from what I understand. And it's only for bacteria. So take anything like this, and the slick salespeople talk about these types of things. Be very cautious. In fact, they even say that it's not been tested on this particular strain, but they compare it to others and everything. So people are going to be knocking down the doors to buy this thing. And by the way, if it's $125 or whatever, you can find colloidal silver cheaper many other places, by the way. And but it does kill bacteria. It doesn't say anything about whether or not it kills virus, even though here it says, well, let's say Silver Solution hasn't been tested on this strain of the coronavirus, but has been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours. Well, let's see, but I don't know if they have any proof of that either. Kills it, deactivates it. A virus. I've never heard of silver killing a virus, unless other people in the medical field have different information and can back this up. I don't know that that's true. Even if it is true, spending $125 or what have you for this is way overpriced, in my opinion. But that's just it. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.